Therāpadāna, The Legends of the Therāpadāna Chapter the 55th. 538. 541. Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya, the victor, Pajamuttara, the one with eyes for everything, the one who had 5 eyes arose, 100,000 eons hence. I then lived in Hasavat, a millionaire's son, very rich. While wandering about on foot, I went to the monk's hermitage. At that time, the torch for the world, the leader was preaching Dhamma. He heaped praise on a follower, distinguished among the sweet-voiced. After hearing that, being thrilled, I did a deed for the great sage. Having worshipped the teacher's feet, I aspired to attain that place. Then, amidst the monks' assembly, the Buddha, the guide, prophesied, very far into the future, he'll receive that delightful place. In 100,000 eons, arising in Okaka's clan, the one whose name is Gautama, will be the teacher in the world. Worthy heir to that one's Dhamma, Dhamma's legitimate offspring, the one whose name is Buddhiya, will be the teacher's follower. Due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I went to Tvetisa then 92 eons ago, the leader named Fusa arose, hard to approach, hard to subdue, supreme in all worlds, the victor. He was endowed with good conduct, lofty, upright, and majestic, wishing well for every being. He freed many folks from bondage. I was then a speckled cuckoo, in his fine hermitage, Nanda. I'm living in a mango tree, near Fusa Buddha's perfumed hut. Having seen the supreme victor, worthy of gifts going for alms, bringing pleasure to my own heart, I cried out with a sweet tone then going to the royal park, taking a cluster of mangoes, very ripe, with gold-colored skin, I brought them to the Sambuddha. Then knowing my heart, the victor, with great compassion, the leader, took his bowl for accepting alms from the hand of his attendant. Happy-hearted, I'm giving the great sage a mango cluster placed in the bowl with both my wings pressed. In praise, I cried with a sweet tone, a sound delightful to the ears, worth hearing, very beautiful, for the sake of Buddha puja. Then going to my nest laid down. Then a hawk with an evil mind, after flying up slaughtered me. Loving kindness in my heart, my wishes turned to love of Buddha. Fallen from there into Suddha, having enjoyed great happiness, I came into a human womb, through the power of that karma. In this present lucky aeon, Brahma's kinsman, greatly famed one, named Kassapa through his lineage, best debater, Buddha, arose, lighting up the dispensation, overcoming evil rivals, instructing the instruct-able. He reached nirvana with followers. When the world chief reached nirvana, a numerous multitude, pleased, are building the teacher's stupa, in order to worship Buddha. They counseled one another thus, let's build for him, the sage so great, a stupa that's 7 leagues tall, adorned with all the 7 gems. As the leader of the army, of the king of Kasi, Kiki, I spoke of a trifling measure, as the measure of the stupa. At that time, because of my word, they built a stupa 1 league tall, for him the hero among men, which was adorned with varied gems. Due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I went to Tvetisa then, and now, in my final rebirth, I'm born in a millionaire's clan, rich, prosperous, very wealthy, in the great city Sravasti. At the city's entrance seeing the Buddha, my mind astonished, going forth in not a long time, I attained my arahantship, due to the karma of making the stupas measure smaller. I'm born with a dwarfish body, which is worthy of disrespect, having worshipped the 7th sage. With a sound which was honey sweet, I attained the top place among the monks with voices that are sweet, due to giving the Buddha fruit, and my conforming with virtue, endowed with the fruit of monkhood. I am now living, undefiled. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. like elephants with broken chains. I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The three knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the four analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya Thera is finished. (542) Kankha-Revata. The victor, Pajamuttara, the one with eyes for everything, the leader of the world, arose, 100,000 eons hence. Lion-jawed and Brahma-voiced, his sound was like a swan's or a drum's, gait heroic like a tusker's, very bright like the moon or sun, very wise the great hero, the great meditator, the great friend, greatly compassionate, the Lord, dispeller of the great darkness, the three worlds chief, the Sambuddha, sage, knower of beings' wishes, leading many who can be led. Whenever he preaches Dhamma, the victor delighted people, praising amidst his retinue, a hero, meditator, calm, an undisturbed trance-loving monk. I then lived in Hasavat, Brahmin master of the Vedas. Hearing the teaching, being thrilled, I aspired to attain that place. Then the victor prophesied, the leader, amidst the assembly, O Brahmin, you should be thrilled, for you'll attain that delightful place. In 100,000 eons, arising in Okaka's clan, the one whose name is Gautama, will be the teacher in the world, worthy heir to that one's Dhamma, Dhamma's legitimate offspring, the one whose name is Revata, will be the teacher's follower. Due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I went to Tvatisa then, and now, in my final rebirth, I'm born in Kaliya city, in a well-off Kshatriyan clan, rich, prosperous, very wealthy. When the Buddha preached the Dhamma, in Kapilavastu city, being pleased in the well-gone one, I went forth into homelessness. I had lots of doubts here and there, what is proper, what's improper. While preaching the supreme Dhamma, the Buddha resolved all of that. After that I crossed existence, then fond of the pleasure in trance. I lived. At that time, seeing me, the Buddha said this about me, which doubts exist in this world or the other, whether known by oneself or else known by another, those who are meditators give up all that, living the holy life energetically. Karma done 100,000 eons hence showed me its fruit here, well liberated, arrow quick. I have destroyed my defilements. Then the world surpasser, the sage, after seeing my love of trance, the great sage then appointed me foremost of monks who meditate. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The three knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the four analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Kankha-Revata Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Kankha-Revata Thera is finished. (543) Sivali. The victor, Pajamuttara, the one with eyes for everything, the leader of the world, arose, 100,000 eons hence. His morals could not be measured. Meditative states like lightning, vast knowledge could not be measured, and freedom unlike anything. The leader preached the Dhamma to the men, the gods, the snake gods, and the Brahmas all come together, mixed with Buddhist monks and Brahmins. Confident among multitudes, the Buddha placed a merit-filled, much receiving and gift-worthy follower in that foremost place. I was a Kshatriyan back then, in the city named Hasa, hearing the victor's words about the follower's virtuousness, inviting Buddha for a week. I fed him with his followers, giving a massive alms giving. I aspired to attain that place. Then he, the bull among people, seeing me bowing at his feet, the great hero in his good voice, uttered these words concerning me. Then the multitude, desiring to hear the words of the victor, the gods, titans, musical nymphs, the greatly powerful Brahmas, and the Buddhist monks and Brahmins, praised him with hands pressed together. Praise to you, O well-bred person. Praise to you, ultimate person. For a week this Kshatriyan gave a massive alms giving to you. We wish to hear the fruit for him. Prophesy that, O sage so great. After that, the blessed one said, all of you listen to my words. Who can tell the fruit of the gift, well established for the Buddha, or assembly, beyond measure? It will bear fruit beyond measure. This rich man is truly wishing to attain that ultimate place. He'll be a getter of huge wealth, just like the monk Sudassana, and also just like me as well. He'll receive that in the future. In 100,000 eons, arising in Okaka's clan, the one whose name is Gautama, will be the teacher in the world, worthy heir to that one's Dhamma, Dhamma's legitimate offspring. The one whose name is Sivali will be the teacher's follower. Due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I went to Tvetisa then. Then 91 eons ago, the world leader named Vipassi arose, the one with lovely eyes, with insight into everything. Then I lived in Bandamati, a member of a certain clan. I was pitted and sought after, one intent on ending karma. Then a certain corporation constructed a monastic school for the great sage named Vipassi, which was large and widely renowned, searching for new curds and honey to give along with solid food. At the end of the great alms gift, they did not find any to give. Then, having taken some of that, new curds and also honey too, I went to the overseer's house, and seeking that they saw me, even offering 1,000, they did not obtain those two things. I thought about it then like this: that price would not be too little, as far as all these people are honoring him, the thus gone one. I too will do a pious deed for the world lord with assembly. Then, having thought it out like that, mixing together the curds and the honey, I gave them to the Lord of the world with assembly. Due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I went to Tvetisa then, again in Benares, being a king who was very famous, and raged at an enemy. Then I caused the gateway to be blocked. Then, obstructing ascetics too, it was guarded thus for a week. Therefore, as the result of that karma, I fell hard into hell. And now in my final rebirth, due to the Kshatriya's good deeds, I'm born in Kaliya city. My mother was Supavesa, father Mahali Lachavi. Because of obstructing the gate, I gestated for 7 years, suffering in my mother's womb. 1 week breached in the birth canal. I'm endowed with great suffering. Because she gave approval then, my mother suffered greatly now. Departing from Sravasti, I was pitted by him, the Buddha. On the very day I set out, I went forth into homelessness. My preceptor, Sariputta, powerful Moggallana the wise, instructed me as teacher, while he was removing my hair. While my hair was being cut off, I attained my arahantship. Gods, snake gods, and human beings are bringing me the requisites. Because delighted I worshipped Buddha named Pajamuttara, and the guide Vipassi Buddha. I'm distinguished with requisites. Due to the distinction of those deeds I'm receiving everywhere, enormous and ultimate wealth, in woods, village, water, and land. When the guide is traveling for the sake of seeing Revata, the world's chief leader, together with 30 times 1,000 monks, the great wise one, the great hero, the world's chief leader with the monks, the Buddhas then served by me with requisites the gods bring for me. Having gone, he saw Revata. Then going to Jetavana, he placed me in that foremost place. The teacher, friend of every world, praised me amidst the multitude. O monks, Sivali's the foremost receiver among my students. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The three knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the four analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Sivali Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Sivali Thera is finished. (544) Vangisa, the victor, Pajamuttara, the one with eyes for everything, the leader of the world, arose 100,000 eons hence, just like the waves on the ocean, and just like the stars in the sky. Thus the word of the Sambuddha is thought out by the Arahants, the supreme victor in a crowd, mixed with Buddhist monks and Brahmins, is honored by people along with the gods, titans, and snake gods. The victor, the world surpasser, illuminates the world with rays, causing to open through his words. The tractable lotus people, the supreme person, endowed with the 4 perfect confidences, fear and timidness abandoned, is confident with peace attained. The world chief is acknowledged as the entire sphere of Buddhahood, which is the excellent bull's place. There is no one who refutes that. When the neutral one, the Buddha, fearlessly roars his lion's roar, no god nor man nor God himself exists who contradicts his words, preaching the excellent Dhamma, ferrying the world with its gods. Confident among multitudes, he's turning the wheel of Dhamma, praising the lofty virtue of a well-regarded follower, foremost among eloquent monks. He placed him in that foremost place. I then lived in Hasavat, a Brahmin likewise well-regarded, born knowing all of the Vedas, lord of speech, debater crusher. Approaching him, the great hero, having heard that Dhamma preaching, I obtained overwhelming joy, loving the follower's virtue, inviting him, the well-gone one, world's delighter with assembly. I served them food for 7 days, and then I covered them with cloth, bowing with my head at his feet, granted leave, hands pressed together, happy, standing off to one side. I praised the ultimate victor. Praise to you, leopard of sages. Praise to you, O best of people. Praise to you, chief of every world. Praise to you, fearlessness maker. Praise to you, confuser of death. Praise to you, crusher of false views. Praise to you, peaceful comforter. Praise to you, gone beyond refuge. Revered one, Lord for the lordless, courage giver for the frightened, resting place for the exhausted, refuge for those seeking refuge. Praising the one of great virtue, the Sambuddha. In such like ways, I said to the God of speakers, I'm attaining that monk's station, he of limitless eloquence. The Blessed One said at that time, this one who worshipped the Buddha, with followers for a week and uttered praises of my virtue, feeling well pleased by his own hands, is wishing to attain the place of the monk who's God of speakers. Very far into the future, he'll receive that delightful place, enjoying with nothing lacking, happiness among gods and men. In 100,000 eons, arising in Okaka's clan, the one whose name is Gautama, will be the teacher in the world, worthy heir to that one's Dhamma, Dhamma's legitimate offspring. The one whose name is Vangisa will be the teacher's follower. After hearing that, I was thrilled, and then for as long as I lived, loving-hearted I provided the thus gone one with requisites, due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve. Discarding my human body, I went to Tvatisa then, and now, in my final rebirth, I'm born in a mendicant clan. Birth was behind me when I was only 7 years past my birth. I'm born knowing all the Vedas, confident among speech teachers, lovely sounding, varied speaker, trampling out other speeches. Born in Vega, I'm Vega Lord, or I'm known as the Lord of Words. Vangisa, thus became my name, which is honored throughout the world. When I had attained discretion, still in the first stage of my youth, then in lovely Rajgir city, I saw the monk Therāpada, the 25th recitation portion, wandering about for alms food, bowl in hand, very self-composed, eyes undistracted, a few words, not looking beyond a plow's length. Having seen him being awestruck, I spoke as was fitting for me, in eloquent verses and feet, free of spots of mere fleeting thoughts. Then he, the wise one, the hero, spoke back thus to me in response. The one described my teacher, the Sambuddha, the world's leader. He then made an impassioned speech, hard to encounter, ultimate, pleased by that colorful speaking, by the neutral Therāpada, bowing with my head at his feet. I said, "Give me ordination." Then he, the one of great wisdom, led me to the best of Buddhas. Bowing with my head at his feet, I sat in the teacher's presence. The best debater said to me, "Vangisa, do you know any art at all?" I spoke about it. And then I said to him, "I know. Through your distinction in knowledge, if you can then now speak about a dead skull thrown out in the woods, even after 12 years have passed." When I agreed, saying, "Yes, sir," he showed 3 such dead skulls to me. I said that they were now reborn, in hell as a man with the gods. At that time the leader showed me the skull of a lonely Buddha. After that, without a basis, I requested ordination. After going forth, I praised the well-gone one in this and that place. Therefore the monks became annoyed at me. He has a poet's mind. Therefore, in order to test me, the guide, the Buddha, said to me, "Are these verses thoughtful figures, or are they spoken groundlessly?" Hero, I'm not poet-minded. They are spoken by me with grounds. In that case, then, O Vangisa, you sing your praises of me now. At that time I praised the hero, the 7th sage, with my verses. Then at once, becoming happy, the victor placed me as foremost, through my speaking and through my mind. I then despised some others who were well behaved. Stirred up by that, I attained my arahantship. No other one at all is found who's foremost among the eloquent, as is this monk named Vangisa. So should you consider him, monks. Karma done 100,000 eons hence showed me its fruit here. Well liberated, arrow quick. I have destroyed my defilements. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Vangisa spoke these verses. The legend of Vangisa is finished. "545. Nandaka, the victor, Pajamuttara, the one with eyes for everything, the leader of the world, arose, 100,000 eons hence, out of friendship for all beings, for their happiness and profit, the best debater, well-bred man, practiced in the world with its gods, who reached the height of fame, splendrous, supported by praise, the victor, the worshipped one of every world, well known in all directions, who crossed over perplexity, who moved beyond saying how, whose mind's intentions are fulfilled, attained supreme awakening, the ultimate man, producer of the road to non-production, declared what had not been declared, and gave birth to what was unborn. Road knower, road discerner, he's the road teller, the bull of men, skilled on the road, the teacher is the ultimate best of drivers. Then the great compassionate one, the leader, is preaching Dhamma, lifting up beings who are stuck on the road known as delusion. The great sage praised a follower, who was regarded as the best, in exhorting of Buddhist nuns, and placed him in that foremost place. After hearing that, I was thrilled, inviting him, the thus gone one, Having fed him with assembly, I aspired to that supreme place. At that time the Lord also thrilled. The great sage said these words to me: "Be happy, O long-lived one, you will receive that beautiful place. In 100,000 eons, arising in Okaka's clan, the one whose name is Gautama will be the teacher in the world, worthy heir to that one's Dhamma, Dhamma's legitimate offspring. The one whose name is Nandaka will be the teacher's follower. Due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I was gone to Tvatisa, and now, in my final rebirth, I'm born in a millionaire's clan, rich, prosperous, very wealthy, in the great city Sravasti. Seeing the well-gone one at the city gate, I was astonished. When he got Jita hermitage, I went forth into homelessness. After not a very long time, I attained my arahantship. Then I'm one who's crossed existence. Instructed by the all-seer, I preached Dhamma to the nuns and performed the question and answer. Instructed by me, all of them became arahants, undefiled. 500 of them, none lacking. The great friend, gladdened at that time, placed me in the foremost place of those who give instruction to nuns. Karma done 100,000 eons hence showed me its fruit here. Well liberated, arrow quick. I have destroyed my defilements. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Nandaka Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Nandaka Thera is finished. (546) Cudayi, the victor, Pajamuttara, the one with eyes for everything, the leader of the world, arose 100,000 eons hence. The teacher, best among leaders, victor, knower of right from wrong, grateful, mindful of benefits, urges on those at the crossing, home of kindness examining things with his omniscient knowledge, the limitless heap of virtue, is preaching his superb Dhamma. At one time he, the great hero, assembled with limitless folks, is preaching the honeyed Dhamma, along with the 4 noble truths. Having heard the superb teaching, pure in beginning, middle, end, there was Dhamma penetration for 100,000 beings. At that time the earth sounded forth, and the clouds began their growling. The gods, Brahma, men and titans, continued saying, "Excellent! Oh, the compassionate teacher! Oh, preaching of the great Dhamma! Oh, the victor lifts up those sunk in the ocean of existence." When Brahma with the gods and men were thus stirred up with emotion, the victor praised a follower, foremost of pleasers of the clans. I then lived in Hasavat, born in a clan of ministers, comfortable and good-looking. I was rich with abundant wealth. Having approached Swan Hermitage, worshipping him, the thus gone one, hearing his honey-sweet Dhamma, having served the neutral one, bowing down before his feet, I spoke these words to him at that time. "O sage, he who was praised by you, foremost of the pleasers of clans, I will be like him, O hero, in a Buddha's dispensation." Then the great compassionate one said to me as though sprinkling me with ambrosia, "Son, striving one, you'll attain that beautiful place. Doing a deed for the victor, how could it then be without fruit? In 100,000 eons, arising in Okaka's clan, the one whose name is Gautama will be the teacher in the world, worthy heir to that one's Dhamma, Dhamma's legitimate offspring. The one whose name is Uday will be the teacher's follower." After hearing that, I was thrilled, and then for as long as I lived, loving-hearted, I served the guide, the victor with the requisites. Due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I went to Tvatisa then, and now in my final rebirth, in lovely Kapilavastu, I'm born in a minister's clan, with Suddhodana as our king. When in lovely Lumbini Grove, Siddhartha, the bull among men, was born for the well-being and the happiness of every world. On that same day I too was born, and I grew up along with him, beloved, friendly, and held dear, confident and skilled in the law. At the age of 29 years, departing from there he went forth, contorting himself for 6 years. He then was the Buddha, the guide, conquering death and his army, casting out all the defilements, crossing the flood of existence. He then was Buddha in the world, going to the place named Isi. He instructed the group of 5. Then the Blessed One instructed folks going here and there, instructing those who could be led, assisting the world with its gods. Approaching Magal Mountain, the victor then dwelt in that place. Then sent by Suddhodana, the earth's protector, going seeing the 10-powered one going forth, I too became an arahant. Then asking it of the great sage, I brought him back to Kapila. Then having gone back there again, I'm bringing the great clan pleasure. The victor, glad at that virtue, the bull of people spoke to me. The guide appointed me foremost among the pleasers of the clans. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Cudayi Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Cudayi Thera is finished. (547) Abhaya, the victor, Pajamuttara, the one with eyes for everything, the leader of the world, arose 100,000 eons hence. The thus gone one exhorts someone in the going for refuge, and he exhorts someone in morals, in the supreme 10 ways to act. The hero gives to somebody the ultimate fruit of monkhood, and likewise the 8 attainments. He bestows the 3 knowledges. Supreme man urges some being in the 6 special knowledges, and the Lord gives to somebody the 4 analytical modes, seeing folks to be awakened across leagues that can't be counted. In no time having approached them, the charioteer of men exhorts. I then lived in Hasavat. I was the son of a Brahmin, a master of all the Vedas, revered as a grammarian, skillful in etymology, confident in definitions, verse knower, ritual knower, also clever at prosody. While wandering about on foot, having approached Swan Hermitage, I saw him, the best debater, honored by the great populace, preaching the Dhamma without stain. I, with contrary ideas, after having gone up to him, after hearing his stainless words, looking for a word of the sage, which was incorrect, repeated, or thrown off or without meaning, I saw none. Therefore I went forth, after not a long time being confident among all teachers. I am taken as an expert in the subtle words of Buddha, after having put together for well-written verses for him, praising the chief of the 3 worlds. I had them preached from day to day. In this frightful existence you are free from passion, great hero. Out of compassion you don't die. Thus you're the compassionate sage, someone who's a common person, not overwhelmed by defilements, would be attentive and mindful. Thus Buddha's inconceivable. These are not destroyed by themselves. Even someone's weak defilements, consumed in the fire of knowledge. It would be a marvel if so. He who's the teacher of all worlds, for him the world's thus a teacher. He's thus known as the world teacher, and the world is following him. With fine verses like those I praised the Sambuddha, Dhamma preacher, doing so as long as I lived. After death I went to heaven, in the 100,000 eons. Since I praised the Buddha like that, I've come to know no bad rebirth. That's the fruit of praising Buddha. I experienced a lot of great kingship in the world of gods, and local kingship here on earth, and will turning kingship as well. I transmigrate in just 2 states, that of a god or of a man. I do not know other rebirths. That's the fruit of praising Buddha. When human, I'm born in 2 clans, the Kshatriyan or the Brahmin. I don't get born in lesser clans. That's the fruit of praising Buddha. Now, in my final existence, in Rajgir, ultimate city, I am King Bimbisara's son, and my given name's Abhaya. Influenced by an evil friend, I was bewildered by a Jain. Sent by the leader of the Jains, I approached the best of Buddhas, having asked a subtle question, hearing Buddha's supreme response. Going forth in not a long time, I attained my arahantship. After praising the best victor, I myself am praised all the time. With good-scented body and mouth, I am endowed with happiness. Thus indeed I am greatly wise, with sharp, clever and quick wisdom, and I speak with varied discourse, through the power of that karma. With pleasure in my heart, praising the worthy, the unmatched, self become Pajamuttara, as the fruit of that, to a place full of woe. For a whole lack of eons I did not go. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Abhayathara spoke these verses. The legend of Abhayathara is finished. (548). Lomasakangiya. In this present lucky aeon, Brahma's kinsman, greatly famed one, known by the name of Kassapa, best debater, Buddha, arose. Back then both Kandana and I, gone forth in the dispensation, fulfilling Dhamma to the end of life in the dispensation, fallen from there were both reborn, as gods in Tusita heaven, having surpassed the others there, through dances which were divine and, through songs and through speeches and the 10 attainments starting with looks, living our lifespan's full extent, we're enjoying great happiness. Falling from there, Kandana was reborn among the 30 gods. I was a son of the Sakyas, in Kapilavastu city, when the Buddha, the world's leader, asked by the elder, Udayi, with compassion for the Sakyas, returned to Kapilavastu, the proud among the Sakyans then, not knowing the Buddha's virtue, aren't bowing to the Sambuddha, caste conceited, disrespectful, discerning what they were thinking, walking back and forth in the sky, the victor reigned like the rain god, and blazed forth like the god of fire. Displaying his unequaled form, he made it disappear again. Having been one, he was many, and then again he was alone. He showed himself in varied forms, in darkness as well as bright light. Having performed that miracle, the sage instructed his kinsman. A huge cloud 4 continents wide rained forth on the world all the time. Then the Buddha preached to them all. The Vesantara Jataka. At that time all those Kshatriyans, having slain their caste-born conceit, approached the Buddha for refuge. Then King Suddhodana said this, "O very wise one, this is the 3rd time I'm worshipping your feet, one with eyes on all sides. The first time was when your birth caused the earth to quake. Next, when the rose apple's shade did not leave you. Seeing the Buddha's majestic power, I too was astonished. Having gone forth right on that spot, I dwelt worshipped by my mother. Kandana, now son of a god, approached me then examined me, on the Bhattacharata Sutta, in abridged and extended forms. Then being incited by him, I approached the leader of men. Hearing the Bhattacharata, moved, I longed for the forest life. Then I asked my mother about going alone to the forest. My mother said, 'You're delicate. Refrain from that course. Then I said, when I'm practicing solitude, I will push away with my chest sacrificial grass and cane grass, cuscus grass, tender grass, coarse grass. Gone into the woods, recalling the victor's dispensation, the advice in Bhattacharata, I attained my arahantship. The past is not to be pursued. The future's not to be longed for. What is past has been left behind, and the future is unattained. Everywhere he who sees clearly, a thing which arises then falls. That wise one fosters nirvana, unconquerable and steady. Now, today effort should be made. Who knows if there's death tomorrow? There exists no contract for us with the massive army of death. Living thus, making great effort, day and night, without laziness. That indeed's Bhattacharata. So says the sage, the peaceful one. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The three knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Lomasakangiya Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Lomasakangiya Thera is finished. (549) Vanavaccha. In this present lucky aeon, Brahma's kinsman, greatly famed one, known by the name of Kassapa, best debater, Buddha, arose. Then I, after having gone forth, in the Buddha's dispensation, wandering in the holy life, as long as I lived, fell from there, due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve, discarding my human body, I went to Tvetisa then, fallen from there in a forest. I was then born as a pigeon. A Buddhist monk was living there, always delighting in trances, loving-hearted, compassionate, with a face always greatly pleased, even-minded, a great hero, learned in the 4 boundless states. In not a long time I trusted, that follower of the Buddha, whose thoughts were without obstructions, friendly toward all living beings. Then whenever I approached him, every day he preached the Dhamma, and gave a little of his food to me seated before his feet. After living like that back then, with great love for the victor's son, having died I went to heaven, like home after being abroad. Fallen from heaven I'm reborn, as human due to good karma. Throwing away life in the house, I then went forth repeatedly, as monk, ascetic or Brahmin. I was thus one who had gone forth, becoming a forest dweller, in various hundreds of lives, and now in my final rebirth, a Brahmin named Vakagata. In lovely Kapilavastu, I set forth along with my wife, my mother's pregnancy craving, when she was close to giving birth, resolved her to live in the woods. When I had come out of her womb, my mother then gave birth to me, within a beautiful forest. As I departed from her womb, they swaddled me in saffron cloth. After that Prince Siddhartha was born, banner of the Sakyan clan. I became his beloved friend, held in confidence and honored. When beings hardwood departed, renouncing all of his vast fame, after having gone forth as well, I went to the Himalayas, seeing respected Kassapa, preacher of rigor, in the woods, hearing the victored arisen. I approached the coachman of men. He then preached the Dhamma to me, with all of the meanings explained. Then, going forth under Buddha, I went to the forest again. Zealously living there I then learned the 6 special knowledges. Oh, I have obtained a good gain, being pitied by my good friend. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The 3 knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the 4 analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Vanavaccha Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Vanavaccha is finished. "550. Culasugandha. In this present lucky aeon, Brahma's kinsman, greatly famed one, known by the name of Kassapa, best debater, Buddha, arose, possessing 80 lesser marks, bearing the 32 great marks, having a fathom-wide aura, gone into a net of light rays, as comforting as is the moon, maker of light just like the sun, quenching just as does a rain cloud, a mine of gems like the ocean, through morals like earth, through wisdom, like the sky, through meditation, like Himalaya, like the wind. He does not stick to anything. At that very time I was born, in Benares in a big clan, rich in grain and abundant wealth, with heaps of various gemstones. Approaching the leader who was seated with a large retinue, I heard him preaching the Dhamma, undying, delighting the mind, bearing the 32 marks like the moon with the constellations, possessing 80 lesser marks, like a regal sal tree in bloom, encircled by a net of rays, like a shining mountain of gold, having a fathom-wide aura, like the sun shining on a lake, excellent golden-faced victor, like a mountain made of gemstones, with a heart full of compassion, like the ocean through his virtue, the ultimate man like Mt. Meru. His praises are famous worldwide, widespread with fame, the great hero, the sage who is the same as space, heart unattached in every place. The leader is thus like the wind, support for all living beings. The seventh sage is like the earth, Kassapa, unsoiled by the world, like a pink lotus by water, shines forth like a mountain of fire, burning the bad speech undergrowth. Everywhere like an antidote, he destroys the defilement poison, adorned with the scent of virtue, like Gandhamadana mountain. The hero's a mine of virtues, like the ocean is of gemstones. Thoroughbred man like a sinned horse, he carries off defilement's filth. Like a champion great soldier, he crushes the army of death. He is like a wheel-turning king, lord of wisdom's 7 gems. Just like a man of medicine, he doctors the illness called faults. Just like the very best surgeon, he drains the abscess called false views. At that time the torch of the world, honored by gods along with men, the sun among men, the victor, preached Dhamma to his retinue. Giving alms one becomes wealthy, through morals one gains well-being, through meditation, nirvana. Thus indeed he gave instruction. Everyone in the retinue hears that his very sweet preaching, pure in beginning, middle, end, very tasty like ambrosia. Having heard his honeyed teaching, pleased in Victor's dispensation, going to Buddha for refuge, I praised him as long as I lived. At that time, for 8 days each month, I covered over the ground of the perfumed hut where lived the sage, with the 4 types of fragrant things, out of my wish for that good smell, for my own odor-free body. Then the victor prophesied that I'd attain that fragrant body, he who covered over the ground of my own perfumed hut with scents, as the result of that karma, while being reborn here and there. This man will be one who has a good-smelling body everywhere, having the fragrance of virtue. He'll reach nirvana undefiled, due to that karma done very well, with intention and firm resolve. Discarding my human body, I went to Tvetisa then, and now in my final rebirth, I'm born in a clan of Brahmins. When I was dwelling in the womb, my mother's body was fragrant, and when I was departing from my mother's womb, then the city, Sravasti, was diffused with good scents as though it had been perfumed, and a perfumed rain of flowers, divinely scented, delightful, and very costly incense too, was wafted about all that time, and the gods rained down on that house, the house in which I had been born, a perfumed rain with all good scented types of incense and flowers too. And while I, a lucky young man, remained in the prime of my youth, then the charioteer of men guided Sila with retinue. I too, along with all of them, came to the city Sravasti. Seeing the Buddha's majestic power, I went forth at that time. Morals, meditation, wisdom, and the freedom that's unsurpassed. Cultivating those four things, I attained my arahantship. And when I was a renouncer, and when I was an arahant, and when I attained nirvana, there was then a good-smelling rain. The fragrance of my body is always blowing. Costly sandalwood, champaka, and blue lotus. In just that way, gone here and there I'm perfuming, suppressing all different scents in every respect. My defilements are now burnt up. All new existence is destroyed. Like elephants with broken chains, I am living without constraint. Being in best Buddha's presence was a very good thing for me. The three knowledges are attained. I have done what the Buddha taught, the four analytical modes, and these 8 deliverances, 6 special knowledges mastered. I have done what the Buddha taught. Thus indeed Venerable Culasugandha Thera spoke these verses. The legend of Culasugandha Thera is finished. The summary: Abhaya, Elder Revata, and Sivali, the great getter, Vangisa, also Nandaka, Kajudayi, thus Abhaya, Lomasa and Vanavaccha, and Sugandha done as the 10th. There are 300 verses here, and also 16 more than that. Then there is the summary of chapters. The chapter called Kankha-Revata, Therāpadāna, Kankha-Revata chapter. The verses that are counted here are 900 in this grouping, and exactly 84 more. 5 times 100 plus 50. Therāpadānas are explained here, along with summary verses. These are 6,000 verses here, and 200 verses as well, plus 18 verses more than that. To that extent the Buddhapadana, Paccabhuddhapadana and Therāpadāna are finished. Let it be the basis for nirvana. The Abhaya chapter, the 55th.